What's up, guys? Welcome back to Simply FPL. Today is like an emergency video. City against Everton was cancelled last night. Again, fantasy football world has gone into absolute meltdown. People are panicking. There's transfers going left, right, and centre. It's pure chaos. So, as usual, and we've done these sort of videos a couple of times this season, we're going to sit back, relax. We're not going to panic, and we're going to look at the details of this and what might be a good idea. So, what happened? In essence, if you've not been paying attention to anything the last few days, Man City had a COVID outbreak within their team. So it started with Gabriel Jesus and Kyle Walker testing positive on Friday. City then played a game against Newcastle on Saturday and were due to play Everton last night. About 4 hours before kickoff, the Premier League notified Everton that they cancelled the match. Everton weren't consulted about this or anything, so Everton have made a public statement last night requesting full disclosure of all the information that City provided the Premier League, so that they're clear on why this happened. I actually think this is quite important, as the Premier League said in September that there would be no cancellations due to COVID for any reasons. So we've already seen them now cancel. This is the second game, the second high-profile game that's been cancelled. And again, it's important to obviously look at, because teams can just start getting games cancelled if they're a bit tired, or if they've got a few players out for whatever reason. So it's a bit of a risk allowing teams to cancel if a few players are out sick. So that's pretty much what we know about the facts, if you like. Back to fantasy football. So a lot of people are panicking. First thing to say is this affects everyone. Unless you are in the position where you have 0 Everton or City players, and also 0 players of any teams that City are due to play, it's going to affect you somehow. So, to give you an idea of this, I looked at the top 10,000 teams in the game at the moment. And looking at those, each team on average has 0.72 Everton players and 0.74 City players. So the average team in the top 10K has about 1.5 players between the two teams, which is affecting them. Another thing to consider is the value of those players. So if, like me, you have 3 players, so I've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Diaz and Cancelo, which is quite a lot of people have this 2 City defenders and an Everton player. That's arguably less damage than having Calvert-Lewin and Kevin De Bruyne. Like, Kevin De Bruyne's value is more than the 2 City players. So when we're putting our fantasy football teams together, we're always focusing on points per million. We've got 100 million to spend, and we need to maximize the points out of that. So one Kevin De Bruyne takes up more budget than 2 City defenders. So again, it's arguably more damaging to have De Bruyne out. So just bear that in mind as well. So how has this affected us so far? Not great. It's not affected us very well. Sorry, it's affected us a fair bit. So our team's not looking great. So as we can see there, Cancelo and Diaz out. James also injured. So I've got 0 defenders playing in my first 11. And obviously Calvert-Lewandowski is obviously not playing as well. Now, we didn't expect huge points this week from City or Everton. Like a 1-1 draw, something to that effect is very, very possible. So it's not like we were expecting a 30-point haul. So it's a bit of saving grace. We also got lucky because Mitchell was rotated back into the squad, was 5 minutes away from getting a clean sheet, looked really good. So there's a chance now he might get a spot back into the team, because Van Aanholt's obviously not been playing very well. So those are the positives as well. We've also got Soufal playing. So look, because 3 of our defenders didn't play, the maximum players we'll have this week is 10. And that's the absolute maximum. If Brewster obviously gets rotated out, which is a good chance. Like, we're not going to finish anywhere close to 10. What are we looking at the moment? 1, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, it'd be 9 to 10 players playing for us this week. But as we just mentioned, that's pretty much the same for everyone. Even with me just getting the 7 points so far, including my bench, my rank's still risen by 15,000 spots. So again, it's not like everyone's being affected by this. So the key thing is, again, just don't panic. So something else we need to consider: City versus Chelsea is likely to be cancelled as well. as it stands, the average team in the top 10k again has 0.65 Chelsea players, which is a combined total of 1.4 players from the City and Chelsea games. So again, it's going to affect almost everyone by more than a player. So things to consider, which you should definitely consider if you plan on making any knee-jerk reactions. First of all, are you free hitting in game week 18 and game week 19? If you're free hitting in game week 19, like me, it might be worth holding on to your City players, because all that's going to happen is you're going to get rid of them now, but then in game week 18, you're not going to have a replacement. So you're just going to lose them again anyway. If you're transferring them out, make sure they're for game week 18 players. So we'll look in a moment at the player I think would be a good swap for one of the City defenders. There's not a huge amount of point talking about the City midfielders because it's the same 7 or 8 players that can just rotate between Sterling and Kevin De Bruyne. But it's quite interesting with defence. If you're free hitting in game week 18, planning to get rid of the City players, there's still a chance, and probably a bigger one now than before, that City might have a double game week in game week 19 now, which would be against Aston Villa and Crystal Palace. So getting rid of your City players again, if you're free hitting in 18, might be a dangerous idea as well. So again, just consider that before you start transferring all the players out and making all these hits to your team. Because again, making a short-term transfer might really affect you in the long term. And as we've seen with all the COVID issues this season already, people that make the reckless decisions, within a week or two, they regret them. Again, just look at what happened with Martinez for Aston Villa. Everyone got rid of him, and he kept 4 clean sheets in a row straight afterwards. So it's not always a good thing. Also, after Chelsea, City have 5 easy fixtures. So they're running into Brighton, Palace, West Brom, Sheffield United and Burnley. That's 5 games where you're going to get points. If you throw in Aston Villa into the mix, if that is added to the double game week, again, it just makes it harder to get rid of City players because you're going to want to bring them back in. So that's kind of the stats and the facts. Where does that leave me? So as it stands, this is the team going into the next game week. I've not made any subs yet. I don't intend on doing so until the absolute last minute, which will be Friday. So if the City and Chelsea game's cancelled, we can rule out Cancelo, Diaz and James straight away. Obviously, James might be injured, but if the game's off, he's definitely not playing. And this is the team we're left with. So, as you can see, we've still not got 11 players because having 3 defenders not able to play, like we don't have, like in seasons past, obviously some people will remember when we had the chip all-out attack where you could play 2 defenders and 8 attackers. It was a terrible chip, an absolute pointless chip, which is why they got rid of it for the 3 hit. But we don't have that anymore. So if we've only got 2 defenders, you ideally need to bring in another defender because it doesn't make sense to play with 2 defenders regardless of what future games are coming, because in that instance you've got a free transfer. You'll have a free transfer to bring someone back in. It points wise you need to make a sub. So players that I'm considering bringing in, I had a good look and I had to weigh up a lot of things. So I'm going to be free hitting in game week 19, so I don't need to worry about game week 19 fixtures because I can change that for free anyway. So I'm just looking at the game week 18 to like 22, 23 where I'm going to obviously have to hold this defender, and I need to make sure they have a fixture in game week 18. So after looking at all those fixtures, this is who I've decided on. The man, the beast, the unit, Yerry Mina. So, Yerry Mina, first of all, he's Everton's. He's almost the top scoring defender for Everton. Michael Keane has him pegged just because Mina's actually missed a few games with injury during the season. His points per game is the best in Everton's defence. Looking at the stats, so Everton, they've only conceded 19 goals this season, and most of them were towards the start of the season. The last 6 game weeks, obviously I'm an Everton fan, they've only conceded 3 goals in the last 6 game weeks. The last 4 games, they've kept 3 clean sheets. Unlucky not to keep a clean sheet against Arsenal as well. Looking at Yerry Mina's stats, as well as the 3 clean sheets, he got himself a goal against Arsenal. So with the bonus points, that's 11 points. So his last 4 fixtures and how Everton have been playing, excellent. Everton now have a break before West Ham. So we obviously don't have to play this City game. We don't have the COVID issue. So we've just got a massive break between our last game against Sheffield United and our next game against West Ham. Now, in that time, we're hopeful that James Rodriguez will be back. Alan might be back. Coleman is already pretty much back. He obviously came on as a sub in the last game. And we're playing West Ham at home, who will obviously have just had a fixture. They're playing okay. They're playing relatively well this season, but again, I just think against Everton, like, it's going to be a good chance we get a clean sheet. And then fast forward in that, if you look at the next 6 fixtures, West Ham, Wolves, Villa, Leicester at home, Newcastle, Leeds. I think there's points there as well for a defender. So obviously this season it's very hard to get clean sheets. We're noticing that since the start. And that's not really lightened up too much the last month or so. So I think Yerry Mina for Diaz it's a straight swap. They're both 5.5 million. Swap for Cancelo, you're going to get 0.2, 0.3 back. To me, that's likely the sub I'm going to make this week. It'll fix me for game week 18 when Everton play Wolves. And it'll leave me with 3 at the back. So that's pretty much my thoughts. There's tons of other defenders you could potentially bring in, but this is the guy that I'm thinking at the moment. Obviously, we'll have the team reveal. We'll have the team reveal up very shortly, actually, for the next game week. But that's my thoughts. So that was it. The City against Everton, or we'll call it the City COVID crisis. I could probably come up with all sorts of clickbait titles for this video, but again, just as with all the videos I've done after a COVID issue, this is the one just to hopefully calm people down about what's happening with Man City at the moment. It's happening to everyone, so just make sure you make your decisions with all the information. And I'll have the team reveal up in the next day or two. As ever, drop your comments down below. And enjoy the rest of the game week. Take it easy.